our role with Bitcoin really is to look at, with crypto, really is to look at the banks, and we think it's, banks are perfectly able to serve crypto customers as long as they understand and can manage the risks, and it's safe and sound. A good number of our banks that we regulate and supervise do that. The threshold has been a little higher for banks engaging.
Welcome back to the channel. Aaron here from the Bitcoin Bros. And in today's video, we're going to be getting into MicroStrategy. A lot of Bitcoin news today. And as you just saw in that clip, that was Jerome Powell talking about that banks can now serve crypto customers. That is pretty huge. We have some big days coming up that we have to watch out for. The first one is the schedule release for the employment situation. We have the next reading on February 7th. This is a day you want to be watching out for. If we get a bad jobs report and we see unemployment going up, the traditional market will sell off. And normally when the traditional market sells off, Bitcoin does tend to sell off. So something to watch out for on February 7th. The next date we need to be paying attention to is going to be February 12th. That's the next CPI reading. If inflation looks like it's ticking back up, that's going to be bearish for the market. If inflation stays steady, the market probably will ignore it. And if inflation goes down, the market may be bullish, because if inflation is going down and the jobs numbers look good and the Federal Reserve is like, hey, inflation is going down too fast, that means they may have to lower interest rates. So that is another key date we have to watch out for. And I know you guys are going to say these numbers are manipulated. They're not true. And while that may be true, we still need to pay attention to the CPI releases and the job releases, because the market trades off of all this data being released. And then to get into some MicroStrategy updates here from Adrian Morris, you can see seasonality for MicroStrategy for the last 5 years. February is usually a green month, and we have the earnings call in February on February 5th. So that's something we have to watch out for. But February is normally bullish for MicroStrategy, so we'll see this time around if we get another bullish month for MicroStrategy. And then looking at the most actively traded U.S. stocks for Wednesday, January 29th, MicroStrategy came in at number 10 with around $4 billion of trading volume. You can see NVIDIA had some huge trading volume yesterday, around 57 billion. But MicroStrategy is still in the top 10, trading up here with some of the biggest companies in the world. Definitely good to see that for MicroStrategy. Price is currently sitting at 341, and Bitcoin is up since yesterday, so we may see MicroStrategy open positive when the market opens. I'm recording this video about a couple hours before the market actually opens. And then Tesla, because of the new FASB rule, they reported a $600 million Bitcoin gain in Q4, and they only hold 9,700 BTC, which is a lot of Bitcoin. But when you compare that to MicroStrategy, that's not that much BTC. And this is mark-to-market gain on digital assets. But you can see this is around 22% of their total $2.3 billion gain. Without the $0.6 billion, it's around $1.6 billion in Q4. But that's a 22% increase for Tesla to be up $2.3 billion. But I don't think mark-to-market gains are looked at as the actual profitability for the company when investors and hedge funds are looking at investing in these companies. But it's still pretty impressive to see that they had a $0.6 billion mark-to-market gain on their digital assets. And then one thing that I thought about here is, what if they didn't sell any of their Bitcoin? They used to have 42,000 BTC. So I did some math here. If Tesla never sold any of their Bitcoin, their 42,902, they wouldn't have had a $600 million gain. With the same gain per Bitcoin, they would have had a $2.6 billion mark-to-market gain. And you can see that's a lot more than the $1.6 billion that they actually made in Q4. So that would have been crazy to see a $2.6 billion mark-to-market gain and the actual profitability only at $1.6 billion. That would have been huge to see, but obviously they sold some of their Bitcoin a while ago. I think this goes to show you as well, like when Michael Saylor says never sell your Bitcoin, you should probably never sell your Bitcoin, even if you are Elon Musk. And then I did a comparison here. If this mark-to-market gain would be the same for MicroStrategy, with MicroStrategy holding 471,000 BTC, their gain mark to market would be somewhere around $29 billion. Now, I know this may not be the same as Tesla's gain per Bitcoin, but if it was, that would be $29 billion of gain in a single quarter. Even if that is mark to market, that is still very, very impressive. So I just want to do that comparison there for you guys. And then some huge news here. The Czech Republic is trying to front run the United States, and they're looking to buy billions of dollars of euros in Bitcoin. So you can see here, we may see the Czech Republic buy a lot of BTC. And I believe that their vote is actually today to have a $7 billion Bitcoin investment. I think that's going to be today for the Czech Republic. That would be a huge Bitcoin buy. And yes, they would be front running the United States, potentially creating that Bitcoin strategic reserve. So that would be huge to see a huge Bitcoin buy potentially coming from the Czech Republic pretty soon. And then from Dennis Porter, the Lieutenant Governor of Texas just made strategic Bitcoin reserve a priority. 2 states have already passed SBR bills out of committee. The president created a working group to study the creation of a strategic Bitcoin and digital asset stockpile. Everything's moving very fast, and I found this website here, guys. It's called BitcoinReserveMonitor.com, and this helps you track the latest developments in the state-level strategic Bitcoin reserve legislation. And you can see what the proposal is in all these different states. So you can see Florida is using rainy day funds to purchase potentially 42,000 BTC. And you can look at the timeline here. You can see the timeline for Arizona. Arizona already passed the committee. It moves the Senate floor for the next vote. And that happened on January 27th. And they are looking to acquire around 14,772 Bitcoin. And Texas, the one that made this a huge priority, is looking to acquire 226,413 Bitcoin. That would be a huge, massive Bitcoin buy. Imagine what that would do to the price of BTC. And then I went through and added up all of these different states. And if all these states that are blue here, just the blue ones, if they were to pass this legislation and they bought the number of Bitcoin that was shown on the screen here, the number of Bitcoin that could potentially be bought by states is 607,758 Bitcoin. So imagine if all of that legislation passes and all these states decide to buy that amount of Bitcoin. Imagine what that would do to the price of BTC. That would be absolutely huge. So that's really all I had for today's video. I have a clip from Ben Werkman that I want to share with you guys. He's talking about MicroStrategy. Stay tuned for that. But thank you for watching all the way to the end. My name is Aaron from the Bitcoin Bros. Make sure to like, subscribe for more content. We have new Bitcoin MicroStrategy news coming out every single day. Let's go ahead and jump into this clip here.
So just think about all the connections to these products. So now you're a Bitcoin treasury company, right? Even if you just start there and you say, I'm just going to convert my treasury to Bitcoin, but you get above 1,000 Bitcoin. Now you've got dedicated ETFs with capital to flow into your equity just because you own 1,000 Bitcoin. You can get passive flows just for hitting that threshold. Now you go and say, well, maybe I want to go the leveraged route and I want to become a leveraged Bitcoin equity. Well, now you can go issue convertible debt. And now you've got ETFs that actually want to buy the bonds themselves. They're not just recreating the performance with swaps. I mean, they'll have to do some of that because they won't be able to get enough. And that's the point, is you're going to have these pools of capital out there that just want to buy your convertible bonds because that's what that fund does.
Right.
So now you don't even necessarily have to go negotiate the same types of terms you had to negotiate with the hedge funds. Now you've got this public ETF that just has capital sitting there that's earmarked for convertible bonds that are going to be used just to buy Bitcoin, right? That's how those are defined. So now you've got a customer, and it's going to be a group of customers, because there's not just going to be one convertible bond fund out there, that are all pooling this capital that are looking for a bunch of these convertible bonds. Well, how does that benefit MicroStrategy? Well, they're the only one with scale. They're the only ones offering enough of these to satisfy a lot of that demand. They're really the only ones that are up in the billions of dollars of issuing those debt instruments. And now you've got this fund that wants to buy them. Great. So now Jeff comes out and he launches his, Bitcoin preferred stock fund. So now you want to go, do an IPO and start up a new share class for your business, and you're wondering, well, who am I going to sell my preferred stock to? Well, you're going to sell it to Jeff in his new fund, right? And so you're creating this pool of low friction buyers out there that make it really easy to open and close these transactions at warp speed. Look at how fast MicroStrategy closes convertible bond offerings. Like, I don't think people appreciate quite how fast that is. It's a week between the day they announce it and the day it's fully closed, and they're buying Bitcoin, and they've bought the Bitcoin already. Right? A week. That's crazy when you're raising $3 billion. It shouldn't be that fast, but that's how streamlined this has gotten. And because they've been doing those private placement, they've got the buyers out there, right? They've got the relationships already. So their speed to market with these products is really quick. And now the market's introducing even lower friction buyers for them. So now they're going to have relationships with all these ETF issuers, and they're just going to call them and go, how many of these can you buy, right? And those ETF buyers aren't gamma traders. So now you can start to engineer the profile around your convertible bonds, because maybe you don't want to get slammed with shorts every time you go into a pricing period here by all these gamma traders, right? So now you can start tweaking that part of the formula here in the engineering model that they're putting out there. And it just creates this really robust ecosystem of all low friction relationships that you're picking up the phone and you're getting products out the door. And it makes it really easy for other companies to now come in and do this, because they don't have to worry about whether they've got buyers or not. It's pretty clear what the criteria are to participate and get those passive flows coming in and sell your bonds or whatever product or your preferred stock or whatever it is you're issuing to the market. People are underestimating the impact that has on these types of equities. I think it's pretty massive.